So before we start off with sports nutrition, we have to understand what exactly the sport, right? So I'm going to give you a brief definition of what a sport is. Okay. According to Carl Diem, a German theorist, he says that play is purposeless activity for its own sake, which is the opposite of work. Okay, so this person says that basically sports is a waste of time. Okay, so you don't have, there is no purpose to it. I mean, in the reality, it doesn't really help anyone. But that is what this person says, not my words, his words. Okay, so I found it very interesting because if you think about it, it does sort of make sense. And it's, I mean, what does kicking the ball from one part of the field to the other part of the field actually achieve? Doesn't really achieve much apart from thrill that you get, from by seeing the sport. Well, you might think that this is a very easy question to answer. Upon closer inspection, you will see that it is not a very easy question to answer. So try defining a sport on your own. Okay, so if you think of defining a sport on your own, you actually find it quite difficult to do so. Because there are so many different ways of defining a sport, but there's no one particular accepted way of defining a sport. Okay, yeah, there's the feel good factor, like Vaishali says. So let's look at the characteristics of a sport. First of all, voluntary participation. Okay, humans work because they have to, they play because they want to. It is voluntary. Like I, let's say I'm making my nutrition plans. Um, I'm doing that because I have to. It's my profession, and that's what puts food on the table for me. I do enjoy it, but then there are some days where I have to push myself to do it because it is something which I have to do. The same goes with other jobs also. There are many people who do jobs which they absolutely hate. Like some people work in call centers, night duty call centers, but then nobody wants to do that, but then they do it because of circumstances. Okay. But when it comes to playing, for example, going to the gym or even let's say competing in the tournament, playing cricket, taking out the time to go to the field and actually practice all of the skills, it is all voluntary. Nobody's forced you to do it. Okay, so there is a voluntary aspect to it. Children forced by the parents to play football are not really engaged in it. Okay, so if let's according to this particular definition, if you force a person to play a sport, then they're not really voluntarily doing it. They have been coerced into doing it. They have been forced into doing it. So therefore, they are not really entirely engaged in it. Same goes for professional athletes if their only motivation is the money. So even if you say that uh, big athletes like we have Lionel Messi or we have your Ronaldo, Virat Kohli, you name it, right? They're big athletes at this point, they're at the top of their careers, um, and the same. I mean, you could say that they are not voluntarily doing it if at this point they are doing it just because they want the money. Okay, they enjoy getting the attention and the fame and the money, but they don't do it specifically for playing because they love the game anymore. Okay. Therefore, one of the characteristics of sport could be that the person playing it is doing so voluntarily with the motive of enjoying the sport. It's a passion, dedication, and discipline. Yes. That is correct. Rules and regulations of sports. So, there are two problems with defining a sport based only on voluntary participation. Okay. The first problem, I mean, we in the previous slide we saw that one of the ways you can define a sport is by saying that it is something in which people are in which people take part voluntarily. Okay, but there are two problems with that particular approach. Problem number one is that practically speaking, motives are often quite impossible to determine. Okay, so it's very difficult to determine what is the motive of a person behind playing a sport. I mean, let's say I am playing a particular sport, and for the heck of it I can tell you I play this sport because I love it. Okay, but maybe I don't love it anymore. Maybe my passion for it has gone down, but I am playing it just because Now it has become a career option for me and I'm doing it just for the sake of money. Okay, that could be the thing. But then it is impossible to determine, right? There is no particular way in which you can determine if the person's actually telling the truth or not. You have to go by their word for it. Problem number two is that this gives us a huge list of activities which most of us won't consider as sports. So it's not just sports where we participate voluntarily. There are many other things also that we participate in voluntarily. For example, even eating a pizza, right? That could be a sport. Why? Because you're doing it voluntarily, just because you enjoy eating pizzas. But now, is there like a pizza association which gives you the which gives you how to eat pizzas and everything? No, I mean you can do it however you want, right? So there is that problem as well, that any activity where you participate voluntarily could be classified as a sport based on the voluntary participation criteria. Although many human activities are done voluntarily, they are not necessarily bound by rules. That is, there is no right way of eating a pizza. Okay, so there are many activities, like I said, which can be done voluntarily, but all of those activities are not bound by rules. Okay, so if you think of eating a pizza, um there are people who eat pizzas with a spoon and a fork, right? Or with a knife and a fork, sorry, not a spoon and a fork. There are people who eat dosa also with a knife and a fork, right? And that, I mean, but there is no committee which gives them a penalty that, okay, 500 rupee fine for you for using a knife and a fork for eating a dosa. Okay, that is not something that happens, right? So um, it's a personal choice. I can eat, I can make a Frankie out of a dosa and eat it for all you care. Okay, but there is no right way of doing it. Okay, so therefore, one of the other defining characteristics of a sport is that it is bound by rules. Okay, bound by rules. You can eat, so yeah, you can eat it with your hands or with a fork and knife. So therefore, another characteristic of a sport is that it consists of rules that transform voluntary play into games and dictate which actions are legitimate and which are not. So there are certain actions in a sport which are considered to be correct, and certain actions in the sport which are considered to be incorrect. Okay, certain steps that you take which are correct, certain steps which are incorrect. Now, in real life, there is nothing right or wrong about those things. Like, for example, LBW in cricket. I mean, all of you know what is LBW in cricket, leg before wicket, right? Even if you are not a fan of cricket like me, you must have enough people around you who watch cricket in some form or the other and uh, tell you about the scores and everything, so that you at least know some basic idea of cricket. So LBW is nothing but leg before wicket. Okay, so what that means is that uh, you blocked the ball from going on the wicket using your leg. Okay, and if your leg is there in front, then you're considered to be out. Okay, now there is nothing actually morally or in any way wrong about keeping your leg before the wicket. Okay, even if you did it by mistake, there is, or by honor on purpose, there is nothing wrong with it. But within the particular game, it is considered to be a penalty. It is considered to be an action which can get you out. Okay, it can get you out of the field for that particular match. Okay, so this is one of the actions which is bound by rules and regulations. Offside in football, again, I'm not going to explain what is offside in football. That is not the point of the lecture, but it is considered to be something again which can give a penalty to the team which committed the offside. The third characteristic is a contest. Okay, now, again, what is the problem if we take only rules and voluntary participation as a defining characteristic of a sport? That the problem again is that there is again many other activities which are bound by rules and voluntary participation but are not sports. Okay, so for example, playing house. We have that ghar ghar which we used to play in our childhood. I think it's something which mainly females used to play. I don't think it is something which males used to participate in that much, but mainly I've seen females playing the whole ghar ghar or house thing, and football are both games. Okay, so because even again in playing house, there is voluntary participation, and there are rules associated with playing house correctly or incorrectly as well. They're both games. Okay. Um, since the players participate voluntarily and the play is governed by rules. However, football is a contest. Okay, playing house is not a contest. So football is considered to be a contest, and playing house is considered not to be a contest. Okay, um, because there is winning in a game of football. One side wins, one side loses. There are, of course, the rare events where neither of the side wins in football, but usually I would say 98 to 99% of the time one side will win. Right now FIFA World Cup is going on, so again, who proceeds to the next stage is dependent on who wins what games, right? But there is no winning in a game of playing house. Nobody is going to win in a game of house. Okay? So therefore, one of the other defining characteristics of a sport is considered to be that it is a contest.